Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. When you've been with someone for a long time, you start picking up on things, small, almost imperceptible changes in the way they speak, the way they act, even the way they look at you. Most of the time, it's harmless. People go through phases. Stress, work, and life in general take their toll. But sometimes those subtle changes carry a meaning you can't ignore. That's exactly what happened to Levi. Levi believed in marriage, not just the ceremony or the vows, but in real commitment. When he said, "I do" to Hai, he meant every word. He was loyal, supportive, and never gave her a reason to doubt him. He wasn't flawless, but he tried, and for years, he truly believed they were strong. But lately, something about Hai had been off. It wasn't one glaring incident. It was a string of small, unsettling shifts. Individually, they might have meant nothing, but together, they painted a picture Levi didn't want to see. It started with her phone. Hai had always used it often, sure, but now it was constant. She was glued to it, her focus completely on whoever she was texting. Sometimes she'd smile at the screen, but the second Levi entered the room, that smile vanished. She'd tilt the phone away, pressing it to her leg, almost like she didn't want him to catch a glimpse. She'd never done that before. Then there was a change in how she dressed. Levi always appreciated the way she took care of herself, but this was different. New clothes, perfume she hadn't touched in years, and lingerie that, strangely, never appeared in their own bedroom. She'd spend extra time getting ready before work or before going out. Yet at home with him, she barely made the effort. Next came the late nights. Hai had never been the type to stay out without telling Levi exactly where she'd be. But suddenly there were late meetings, extra shifts, and girls' nights that oddly never involved friends Levi actually knew. At first, he didn't question it. He trusted her. But as these nights became more frequent, her explanations grew vague. And when he'd ask a simple question, "Where were you?" she'd get defensive. "Why do you care?" "I was working." Or, "God, Levi, why do you always have to interrogate me?" He wasn't accusing her. He just wanted an answer. But instead of easing his mind, she made him feel like the bad guy for even asking. And then came the hardest part, the lack of intimacy. Months passed without her showing any genuine interest in him. When he tried to get close, she'd pull away, claiming she was tired, busy, or simply not in the mood. The woman who used to curl into him at night now lay at the far edge of the bed, back turned, flinching at his touch like it was unwelcome. Levi wasn't naive. He knew something was wrong. But without proof, he wondered if he was imagining things. Could the woman he trusted most really be keeping something from him? One night, he sat at the dining table, eating quietly after a long day. Across from him, Hai scrolled through her phone, barely touching her food. The glow of the screen lit her face as her fingers flew, typing, deleting, then typing again. Whoever she was texting had her full attention. Then she set the phone down and looked at him. "Hey, babe, I was thinking, I want to have dinner with a friend from work." Levi's fork paused midair. A friend, not a group, not a work outing. Just one person. "Who?" he asked. "Oh, just my coworker Jason. It's nothing serious." Jason. The name was familiar. She'd mentioned him before, a guy she worked with on projects. Back then, Levi hadn't thought much of it. But now, every instinct told him otherwise. Before he could respond, she tilted her head and asked lightly, "Do you trust me or not?" It was a trap. If he said no, he'd be the jealous, controlling husband. If he said yes, he'd be giving her the green light to do something that already felt wrong. "Why dinner with another man?" "Just the two of you," he asked evenly. "It's just food, Levi." "Why are you making such a big deal?" She shot back, rolling her eyes. Then came the deflection, accusing him of being controlling, insisting she was allowed male friends. Levi knew what she was doing, dodging the question and flipping the narrative. "I'm not comfortable with it," he said firmly. Her face hardened. "Wow. So I can't even have dinner with a friend without you freaking out? Do you think every guy I talk to wants to sleep with me?" "That's not what I said," he replied. But she wasn't listening. She pushed harder, calling him crazy, insecure, and paranoid. He had two choices: argue until his words were twisted against him, or shut it down. I said, "No, hi." She scoffed, shoved her chair back, and stood. "Forget it. I don't need your permission." She stormed out, the slam of the bedroom door echoing down the hall. The days that followed were cold. She barely spoke to him, and when she did, her tone dripped with irritation. She sighed loudly whenever he walked into the room, and threw in passive-aggressive jabs. I never thought I'd marry someone so insecure. It must be exhausting, always being so paranoid. I hope you don't expect me to sit at home like some obedient housewife. At first, Levi ignored it, thinking she'd dropped the subject. But she didn't. She changed tactics, silent treatment, then fresh accusations. "Do you even respect me, or am I just your possession?" You know, real men don't act this insecure. Levi knew he wasn't insecure, and deep down he was certain that if the roles were reversed, she'd have lost her mind. But the constant pressure wore him down. He was tired of the fight, tired of feeling like the villain. So one evening, just to end it, he agreed. The moment he did, her demeanor shifted, brighter, almost smug. It was as if she'd expected him to cave. On the night of the dinner, she spent more time than usual getting ready. Perfect dress, hair styled, expensive perfume, checking herself in the mirror with an almost giddy smile. That's when it hit him. This wasn't about trust. It never had been. She was testing boundaries, pushing to see how much he could get away with, and he'd just given her exactly what she wanted. Then fate handed him a break. One evening, she left her phone charging while showering, something she never did. Levi hesitated, then picked it up. In her call log, one number appeared again, and again, Jason. The texts, what little she hadn't deleted, were enough to confirm what he feared. He didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, he began collecting evidence. He reviewed their bank statements. There were withdrawals for expensive restaurants, boutique purchases, even hotels. She was using their money to fund her affair. He quietly took action, moving his pay into an account she couldn't access, documenting every reckless expense, and hiring a private investigator. Emotionally, he detached. He watched her as if from a distance. She grew bolder, smiling openly at her phone, dressing up to go out, barely acknowledging him at home. One night, he overheard her on the phone. "I can't wait to be with you for real." She was planning her exit. She thought she'd already won. Then came the moment. She walked in, dropped her purse, and without much build-up said, "I think we should separate." Levi stayed calm. "Why now?" "Because I can't keep pretending. I love you, but I'm not in love with you." Then, as if offering a kindness, she suggested they split everything fairly, no drama. He simply nodded. "All right." Her biggest mistake was thinking his calm meant surrender. The next morning, she checked their joint account and found almost nothing. Panicked, she called him. "Where's the money?" "You don't have access anymore," he replied calmly. Later, she came home to find a thick envelope on the table with her name on it. Inside, divorce papers, along with phone records, bank statements, and messages. Proof of her affair. Levi wasn't blindsided. He'd been ready. Word spread. Friends, family, even co-workers learned the truth. Her carefully crafted image collapsed. And Jason? He vanished the moment things got messy. In the end, she had no husband, no lover, no stability. She'd gambled everything for a fantasy, and lost it all. She thought she'd outsmart Levi. Instead, she outplayed herself.